Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Electric People Podcast. I am overly excited about this episode because it is an episode of transformation, evolution, salescraft, all those things that it's truly electric story. So Shawn Watson was on our podcast. He was episode 4. And he was on there. He has had a 20-year career as a pro wakeboarder. He has had more representation, worked with bigger brands, had more contest wins, and a much longer career than is typical by a mile in that industry. So he became a friend of ours, and we talked to him about a career and what it looks like, and some of the correlations between what he did and what we did. In the background, since that episode, probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Shawn has been working on a really exciting evolution where he actually came into the business, left the wake industry, and became a door-to-door salesperson. He was a friend, then he was a recruit, and he was a rep. And he tells his story. He was recently promoted to senior market leader, so he's a regional leader now. He's came in since Shawn was hired. We've probably hired, I don't know, like 20,000 plus people. And we currently have something like 15 senior market leaders. I mean, he's completely stood out from the field, but his career didn't just explode immediately. He went through the reps. He had kind of a slow start. He learned the ins and outs of not just the product, but how to sell, how to become a door-to-door salesperson. And he's fully transitioned into being completely one of us, has been from the very beginning. But, he is the core skills, the core leadership skills, the language, the culture, the contribution. It is a beautiful transformation. And so I'm really excited for you guys that don't know Shawn or haven't been talking to him to see what that dude has been up to over the past 6 or 7 years. It's impressive. It's one of my favorite stories in our organization. So lock in. And hey, if Shawn Watson can do it, so can you. Here we go. This is Electric People. Okay, I've been excited about this one because we did a podcast when we barely knew each other on your back deck in Florida. In what year would that have been?
2018.
2018. And, the show is Electric People. We're talking about people that are outstanding in their field. You were on the show talking about a 20-year wakeboard career, which is awesome. It was episode number 4 of
I was wondering what
Electric
number
People
it was.
podcast. Number 4.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. We had just met you right when we had started that. And now in 2026, we're having a conversation as a completely different career. One of our closest friends and brothers in the fight, and just got promoted to senior market leader, like a regional manager at Sunrun. And people are like, what has been going on since the last time we spoke? And we were like, calm down. We'll tell the story. So
a lot has changed.
So much has changed, man. So I've been really excited to do this, man. Your career path it was exciting before. It's very exciting now. But you're a really great example of somebody that has, reinvented themselves completely and transitioned and come into the business and fully learned it. Like a lot of the people that come into this business, they have some sort of in through college or whatever, but you're kind of the new, future style of leader that we see. So anyway, I'm excited about that.
It is cool. Yeah, it's crazy to think. When we did the podcast the first time, was it before we went to Lake Powell, or was it after?
It was after.
It was after Lake Powell.
Yeah.
So even at that point, I knew nothing about solar or sales or anything, right? So
and you were at the time living in Florida on a lake,
yeah,
wakeboarding every day, which is what you love to do.
Yeah.
His boat was parked backed in on a dock. We could go from the grass to wakeboarding or surfing within 4 minutes. It was the perfect setup.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, it's backyard pool, about 100, 200 feet, walk down to the dock, and just
start it up and take off.
So what made you leave that? Because that's where you're from. That was what you love to do. It's an ideal situation. So what made you leave that?
That's a good question. It's interesting because, wakeboarding was my life, and I did it since I was a child. And I remember when I was a kid growing up and thinking what am I going to do with my life? Am I going to be do this? Am I going to be a fireman? Am I going to do that? And it's like, I want to obviously be a professional wakeboarder because that's just like where I grew up on the water. But I think as time goes on, you just things change, life changes. You go through different habits, like just like your taste buds change, right? Like things just change, and your body gets beat up, right? I think it's definitely a young man's sport. I mean, I was lucky that I was able to do it to like the mid 30s. I would say most people probably do it to the late 20s. So I had a long stretch, but there was also times where, like, I think vividly back to times where, like, I'd wake up in the morning and open up my blinds and look out to the lake, and awesome backyard, glassy conditions, perfect. And like 10, 15 years ago, I'd probably have the desire, like, oh my God, call my friends and want to get out there as quick as possible. But to that point, got to where I was like, just don't really have the same, it's like, I'm like thinking like, what's next for me? Like, what can I, what is my next path? What am I going to do next? And am I going to stay in the wake industry, which it's fun, but not the most profitable? It's not like I'm going to be able to go buy a second house or the house that I want to be at. It's just, so just constantly kind of thinking like what's different, and always had a strong desire to live in California. My board sponsor, Liquid Force, I had in my contract where they had to send me out to San Diego once a quarter.
You like put that in there?
Yeah, it was in my contract.
That's awesome.
I thought they put it in there because they wanted you close.
Well, they
to, like,
did, but yeah, I
HQ,
was like, because because the headquarters was based in Carlsbad, right? So it was like, hey, that's part of my deal. I have to be able to come out like once a week to do like R&D, but really it's to come hang out and surf and just out San Diego, right? But I was like, what can I do to eventually live in California? But wakeboarding's not a big thing. Gas is, I mean, even back then, it's like, there's not a lot of like water. It's not as big of a scene, so it just didn't make sense, so there's
Dude, I remember, like, I've always been that way, like, randomly. Like, I would look at people in your situation, even when I first met you, and been like, okay, like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'll look at musicians that are like one-hit wonders, and I'm like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to get a job. Where are you gonna work? You know what I mean? Or like supercross riders that like age out, or like athletes or action sports people that it's like, okay, you probably didn't. UFC fighters that weren't the top fighters. It's like you spend your whole life beating up your body, developing a skill set, and then but that's the path you lived. So when we met, you were getting into sales with Natik, right? And that was kind of the transition plan. But talk about that transition plan and how you started thinking about this, because now the people that you're bringing into the business, I mean, I just introduced a friend to you that we brought in.
You've been working for a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, who's in the exact same situation, like followed a path, had expertise in that path, life changed. And I think you know a lot about that because you've lived it firsthand.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like, you think like even like pro surfers, like there's like guys that are well known, but if you look at like the amount of like what they pay for travel and like they actually don't bring in a lot of money after all their expenses, right? And it's kind of the same with that. As it's like during our off season, they would send us to boat shows, and I would go, to different areas and different cities and help promote the brand. Or
are they paying you separate for that?
Like, yeah, like I would have like my monthly salary, but I mean, I would get like an appearance fee of like $1,500 for a weekend, which is cool.
Yeah,
you do that every weekend, it's great, but it's not like,
it's not life changing.
Not paying the bills, right? And in Florida, lower cost of living, right? But yeah, I think that was, I just think back to that of like Nautique, the boat company I rode for, they would send me to events, and rather than sending a sales rep, they would send me. I could go there and actually act as like a sales rep, but also do demonstrations and whatnot. And I think they were prepping me to probably get into that role at some point, like once I was done. But even then, it's like, wasn't like a strong desire of like, this is what I really want to do. Do I want to do that? I'm thinking like bigger picture, like what is next for me, right?
What's interesting is I've never actually heard you talk about that part of it.
Yeah,
I've never heard you talk about the fact that you were getting to a place where you were ready for the next thing. And obviously, I feel like I was really involved in kind of the whole process, and I've known you for a long time. We've worked really closely.
Yeah,
but I've actually never heard you talk about that. And it's interesting knowing how working at a boat show is what actually gave you the in on the next part of the opportunity.
Yeah.
With like meeting, you know, Jason and those guys at the boat show and them inviting you.
Because you weren't at the boat show, were you? Oh, yeah.
Jason and Paul.
That was a very interesting thing. Yeah, it's like I was literally at a boat show and, you know, helping sell gear. Like that's what I did. And one of the other employees was like, "Hey, Shawn, these guys are like asking about you. They want you to go help them like get gear." I'm like, "Okay." Like walk over, talk group of guys and they're like, I'm like, "How can I help you guys? What are you looking for?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. Can you give us some recommendations about boards?" And, you know, so I set them up. I'm like, "Oh, you want this one? You want that? This is going to be good for you guys. You want to get that?" And then, you know, next thing you know, they're buying like, I swear, like almost like $10,000 worth of gear. And I'm like, "What are you guys doing?"
They're like, "We're trying to get good fast."
Yeah. Like, they're like, you know, but no, they're like, you know, they're at this point, they were prepping for the Lake Powell VIP trip. It was like anybody that was doing 20 installs on a quarterly basis, or I think it was like a Q3 incentive. You had to do 20 installs in order to qualify for this trip. And, you know, they're like, "Yeah, we're doing this VIP experience. Our top sales reps," you know. I was like, "Damn, I love Lake Powell. Like, I'd love to go out to Lake Powell."
Yeah.
They're like, "Well, do you want to just come and do some coaching and guest speaking and do some demonstrations and just be there?" And at the time, like that's kind of what I was already doing. I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I have a day rate if you want to pay my day rate."
Yeah.
And I can't remember this, obviously back in 2016, but I feel like you guys like 2x my day rate just to like show me a good time and like bring your wife or your girlfriend or bring another guy. And I'm like, "What is going on here? What is this place?"
Yeah. I remember you showing up with JD and Kat, and you and Kat were just dating at the time.
Yeah. It was just only about a year.
Yeah. And I remember being like kind of nervous actually because you guys were so cool. Like literally it was like, dude, these are like the cool guys. Like we brought like the coolest guys. And also you guys were like so helpful and so accommodating. Like you made the trip such a fun experience. In fact, it was like one of the most memorable experiences.
It's a good time.
You know, is when we were out on the lake
Yeah.
and like you guys were both back behind the boat and you were like doing flips over each other. And then, you know, one of you went out and like ollied over the front of the other boat, you know, and all of us were like freaking out and jumped in the water with you guys. And I say in that picture, like every couple of years.
Because it's like fun to look back on that, right?
Yeah, because you had no idea what was ahead. Obviously, we didn't know. Like, we didn't know we'd work together for a long time.
Well, I think that's just like, honestly, I think if I didn't have that experience, all of that, I probably wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember honestly having no idea about solar or knowing anything and really even knowing that was like the top, like the elite. You got to be doing 20 installs on a quarterly basis to be there.
I remember a couple of small combos of both you and JD. Like, I remember getting like the seed on that trip and like having conversations where you guys were like, "Well, this group is really cool," and you guys had questions and we're asking like, "So how does it work?"
Yeah.
And so it's like, dude, those buying questions, you get in that group, like we're gonna jump on it, you know. But it was like, And then I remember you saying a couple times, like, and me asking, like, "What do you do now? Like, you've been doing this for a long time." And then you're like, "Oh, I'm kind of trying to figure it out. I'm doing this boat thing." But it was really after that we had a couple conversations that I really am interested in what was going through your head at that point. Like, because dude, the transition from pro wakeboarder, Natik brand ambassador, still had your board sponsor, still had like residuals from your board, still had like Billabong sponsorship and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was hard to get away from that.
To completely change career, become a door-to-door salesman, move about as far away as you could have.
Yeah.
Well, and also I didn't know, like you were a champion wakeboarder, like you'd won championships and stuff. And also, you know, later on, it was interesting because, you know, fast forward a few years and we're on a trip, an incentive trip for our reps that we put on and we were paying for in Turks and Caicos, and you knew everyone there. And so you set that thing up, and Matt Cry
that was cool.
He didn't know, he knew Shawn Watson. You've probably heard this, but like he knew the name Shawn Watson. He's like, "Oh, that guy has the same name as like my favorite wakeboarder growing up."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I had a Shawn Watson wakeboard. I had the Shawn Watson wakeboard. That's what I wakeboarded on." And so when we were out there, like he didn't realize till you went and started actually wakeboarding.
We were already been working together for quite a while.
He's like, "That Shawn Watson's also good at wakeboarding."
So then he realizes it was such a cool moment.
Oh, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, dude. So he literally, like, all of it, when we're out on the boat, he realizes this is the Shawn Watson he grew up like idolizing. you know, who's one of his leaders at Sunrun. He's like, well, there's no way that Shawn Watson's doing door-to-door sales. So
No,
obviously,
my
it's
boy.
not the same
We
guy.
work closely together.
Yeah, and now Matt
How
and you were
funny is
close, but
that?
it was cool because he asked if he could go do a flip over Shawn behind the boat. So
Yeah.
they went in tandem, you know, they were tandem
riding,
wakeboarding, tandem riding,
Yeah.
and Matt got to do a flip over Shawn.
Oh wow.
And it was like the best moment of his life. You know, like a
that's
highlight.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
understanding that you had your own wakeboard that like a lot of people had, you know, it was like it was a really big deal for you to kind of like go from that type of prestigious, like high level
to kind of go from that. Yeah. Because it's like you asked, like kind of like what was going through my head, and it's like because once again, like I loved my life, and I loved like the being able to walk out the backyard and like have that flexibility and not really feeling like I had a job. It was like
When you
I
had a
could just-
community too, like your friends were that way.
Yeah.
I look at like Twitch's life, and it's like everyone wakes up and goes and rides bikes at Twitch's every day. Like it was probably like that for you,
It's
right?
like we were talking about surfing this morning. It's like these people are out surfing till 10. Like, what do they do?
Yeah.
Right. But it's like that. It's like that's what
yeah.
that's what that lifestyle is like in Florida, right? Like, you know, people, I don't know what it is. Like we just like this massive group of people that I'm like, now I look back, I'm like, what did everybody do? Like, how did everybody pay their bills? Right. Because
you're like
they really
the
weren't.
Teak gave me a boat.
Yeah.
How did you get them? These things are like $500,000. Like,
yeah, right.
You know?
They are expensive, but yeah, I think that's what the thing was. Is like for me, it was. There's always everything's timing, right? It's like always being the right place, the right time, and it just kind of works out. But like I said, there was those times where I'd wake up in the morning and open the blinds, and I'm like, oh, it's beautiful, but I'm also like, you know. And then like when that happened, and we went to the boat show, and then we met and went to Lake Powell and did that, and I kind of became intrigued, and I'm like, you know. I remember Trey was there, and he was at that time, I think he was like only in his like low 20s.
Yeah.
But it's like you guys talking about him making $1 million. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like, I kind of like, it's like intriguing to me, right? But I'm also like, loving my life. And I'm like, I definitely am pretty chill and don't have like, you know, a lot of stress. I kind of just like get to kind of do the things. But it's also, like I said, it's like, I'd like to have a nicer car. I'd like to have a nicer house. I'd like to have like, do the things that I really want to do and not be held to like feeling like I was like capped, you know? So it was definitely more intriguing. And I think I had that trip where I came out to San Diego. I think it was one of those trips I said how Liquid Force, my board company, had me coming out like once a quarter. So I was in California, and I feel like I don't know how, I can't remember how it worked out, but I remember I texted and you're like, oh, you should come check out our conference. And did that. And then I remember we went and golfed at Pelican Hill.
Yeah.
Stayed at your house. And then I remember just got to talking. I remember you did.
You ended up, it was Ty, me, and Adam golfing with you.
That was
So,
sick. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
he
was-
didn't realize it was like,
Yeah,
you know,
what-
three
This
great
is planned.
recruiters.
Yeah, right. I think I sent that photo the other day. Those three, like on for your birthday.
I love that Sean's like, and randomly I met Trey, and I learned that Trey had earned a lot of money at a young age. Yeah, like that's weird.
He's like, I don't know how I ended up in Southern California, but I remember being with you three.
But I do remember like that's like that night. I remember vividly like being after that day of golf and like an amazing time with you guys and did that. But I remember you like, you know, we went to your house, you got your Excel thing out, put it up on the TV, and you know, you
Comp
started
calculator.
Yeah, the comp calculator. Yeah. And you started showing me like, look, Sean, like, hey, like in California, I think the average commission at that point was about 5K. But you're like, look, you know, if you were even like thinking of doing this job, you know, if like, let's just kind of do some examples of like, if you do 5 installs a quarter, you know, then if you could get to like where you're doing like 10 installs a quarter, start getting to like leadership development. Next would be all-star. It's when it was like 15 installs. We need to bring that back, by the way. But you know, and then you're like, if you can get like 20 installs a quarter and, you know, making $100,000 every 3 months. And, you know, that's like all that group of guys that you were there in Lake Powell with, they were all doing that. And I'm like, okay, if those guys can all go out there and do that, I could do that.
Yeah.
Right. Like that can do that. And I remember I'm like, hey, can you send me the screenshots like of the Excel sheet? I remember sending to Kat, my wife now, back then just dating, but her even looking at that and being like, she'd obviously been to Lake Powell. So it wasn't one of those things that she thought that's not real. You know, like she believed it. And she's like, wow, like if that's what the opportunity really is, like you should probably definitely consider, you know, we should probably consider moving to California.
Shout out to Kat, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
She's the best.
yeah, dude, she's so awesome to. I mean, you guys were dating, and she had a career. We'll get to that. But
Yeah.
the cool thing is I remember that meeting, and it's what was going through my head, interestingly, is like, this guy is super cool. He has a lot of potential. He needs to at least know, and there's always kind of like, if anybody's listening to this and it's like you have your list of friends and maybe you are nervous to recruit them, it's like, I felt like here's a guy who's super talented, who doesn't know about this world, who's about to transition into some other thing in life. And whatever he does is not going to be nearly as advantageous, at least financially and from a developmental standpoint, as what we do.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I felt like we would have been friends regardless, but I was totally willing to take that shot, because it's like, well, dude, what if I never told you, and 5 years from now, you're in a job that you don't like and you're capped, and you'd be like, why didn't you ever open your mouth? And so for me, it was kind of cool, because anybody that's in that situation, you're in that situation like now, it's not going to end a friendship to say, hey, I think you'd be great at this. Let me show you what it looks like. If you're not interested, that's fine. We don't have to talk about it. But I value you enough that you should see this, because it's blessed my life and it's rare and whatever. But also from that point, like, I'm interested because you're one of the very few people, like really one of the very few people. There's senior market leaders. I mean, how many do we have in this company? Like 12, right? There's, on our books of salespeople, there's thousands of them. So not only did it work for you, but you're one of the very few people that's fully like transitioned, learned it, maximized it, and actually like become something different through the job. So what seems maybe kind of normal to you is like, I don't know, I just met the guys and I plugged in and I did what they said, and it was hard, but it worked out. You have to understand that we hire, I don't know, 500 to 700 people a month into our channel. You've been doing this now for 7 years. So you've seen thousands of people that have not had the same experience that you've had. So I want to challenge you to think, like, why do you think it worked for you? Like,
and also one other thing too is you came here with JD.
Yeah.
So not only did, like, you actually came with one of your friends who was capable, and he actually sold more than you at the beginning.
He was doing better than me.
Yeah. So that's
shout out
another
JD,
part.
dude.
Shout out
I
JD,
miss that
dude.
guy
Golf
at
of
least
course.
once a quarter.
Yeah,
He's the best.
we need to text him after this.
He missed that Florida life.
Yeah,
He had to
for
get
sure.
back to it.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, the job's not for everybody, and there is timing, like you said. But I really am interested in why. And now, you've managed and led a lot of different people. So we were talking this morning. Total install count was 300 and what?
I'm like 360 right now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And as a leader, you were promoted a leader in 22.
2022.
So quick math is like 3,500 installs managed, almost 400 personal. Dude, you've like done stuff in this industry now. But you've seen a lot of people come and go. You've seen a lot of people that were in a situation as you, maybe more talented, maybe younger when they started, and it hasn't worked. So what do you make of all that?
Yeah, I think, the job, everyone's familiar with the solar coaster, and doesn't matter if it's with sales or with life, like you just go through crazy things, right? But I think just like even when we started talking and you guys like bringing me on recruiting and knowing that it's when I think if you come from, like if I'm with sports, it wasn't a team sport, it's a personal sport, right? Like you have to have like the grit, and you've got to understand, like, there's a lot of ups and downs, and like a lot more downs than typically ups, and losses, and being able to just know and like persevere and not like, don't let it eat you up and make you spiral, right? Like just think big picture, think always like steps ahead. And I think that's just kind of like carrying that same mindset into it, right? And I think that's why it's like we've even talked, it's like you typically want to try to, when you're recruiting, if you see someone that's exiting from sports or whatever it be, like they just have something different in them, right? Where they can kind of handle it, versus someone that's maybe coming from like a 9-to-5 desk job. They're going to have a little bit different grit.
I think that's true. You've walked a different path your whole life.
Yeah.
I actually think action sports athletes are uniquely tuned to do this job, because you like, think of the things you said, like it's an individual sport, but you're an ambassador of a team. So like, yeah, you're out there getting better, but whoever's like giving you these financial opportunities is asking questions like, is he a good fit for the culture? Is he going to help the brand? So we're going to pay him this monthly money. What's going to be the return? So like, obviously you were a contributor to culture, and you were like I mean, again, when we took you on that trip, you were very service oriented. I remember you like fixing everybody's boats and like being patient with people. But action sports is interesting because it's like, if you think about it, like as a kid, you wanted to get better at wakeboarding. It's not like if you landed, the thing you were trying, you got paid. It was just like, there's something in you that's like, okay, something is possible. I'm drawn to it. I'm willing to endure disappointment, pain, humiliation, time, all of those things in order to get it. And then you get it and you become more capable. And so like you're developing yourself little by little. You're part of a community, but it's individual. And if you don't perform well, the downside is pain. Yeah. So then you come into this and it's like, dude, you're on a team, you're in a community. It is an individual performance thing. Failure doesn't equal pain. It equals some mental frustration, which you've already dealt with. And so there are some like correlations if you can tap into it, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a good point. Because I think about it's like ever since when I first got signed on at like 15 years old, like I would, we would go to these boat shows and go do these other things, and during off seasons or in between events where they would send us and, we would do demonstrations and coaching. So it was like, I look back, I'm like, they were just prepping me.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Disposable heroes, right?
Yeah.
You were the product.
Yeah. I look back and I'm like, I remember at the time I didn't really like to do it, but now I'm like super thankful that they did that, because it is like, that's like, it was ingrained to me to be, if we're out on the boat doing the things, to go out and help people. Some people don't even know how to put a board on their, strap their feet in. So get on the back of the boat, help them do that, show them how to. One of the hardest, if no one, if you're listening to this, if you've never wakeboarded, if you have, I'm sure one of the hardest things for people to do is just to get up out of the water, right? And it's, when you're thinking, like, if you've never done it, it's actually really complicated. But once after you've done it multiple times or thousands of times, it's like, you don't even, it's actually super easy, right? But just knowing that and guiding people through that, and I think that's just, I think that's like something that's been ingrained in me that I apply to this job. Like, people come in and knowing that they have no idea how the sales tools work, they have no idea how to pitch, they have no idea what to do once they get inside the house.
Dude, it's interesting you say that, because one of the first things I remember when I met you is we hopped on the boats and we had to take them down to actually launch them. And we were on the back of the boat when the truck was pulling it and my hat flew off.
Yeah.
And you actually jumped off the boat and ran and got my hat and brought it back to me. We had just met.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't even have time to like get down to get it. Like, you just immediately jumped and did that. And then you fast forward to when you were working together and you were on my squad and you were just a rep at the time.
Yeah.
But at this time you had a slow start, but it was the second year and you were like starting to become one of the top reps in the top team. So personally, you had kind of like, you'd shown that you were excellent at the job itself. And when the meetings would finish, this experience, it now.
You'd have 100 people.
You have a line. It's literally like, it was like a single file line of people like waiting to talk to me. And it would take me an hour to get from like the front of the room to my office, because it was just like so many conversations.
Yeah.
And what you started doing was you would come to the front of that line and you would talk to the next person in the line and be like, hey, how can I help? Because you realize normally people were asking some simple question about a design or their login or whatever it was. And you would literally and I never asked you to do that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the times where as soon as I witnessed you doing that, I was like, dude, this guy is the best, and because of everyone loves you, but like, I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that you're so approachable and they all know that you'll help them with anything they want. And so I never thought about the fact that like that came from your background and, and doing that in wakeboarding. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
When a lot of people don't have the patience for it, right? Like being good at wakeboarding and then like having the patience for someone that's never going to get good at it, that's a total noob, teaching them how to like put their feet in a board, like, or teaching them how to stand up. Like, I have 6 kids. I've taught most of my kids how to stand up behind a boat. And I'm like, bro, I'm pretty over it. Like, I'm like, why can't you do this? Like, it's, but there's a certain level, like, you're pretty uniquely qualified for it. That's an interesting thing to say. I actually didn't know that you did it, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
You know,
It's just funny how you say that. Again, you think about like the relation of like when you are getting up behind the boat and it's like it's natural, people want to like pull their arms in and they want to straighten their legs.
And they want to muscle it and fight the
And
boat.
it's like, hey, do the complete opposite. I want you to relax your arms and I want you to bend your knees, like pull your heels to your butt and just like like as if you were a football player and I'm picking you up off the ground.
Yeah.
But it's weird to get that concept to go through, but it's the same thing with this job, right? Like people just have to, they just need that, like, hey, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it this way.
Don't try to sell them.
Yeah.
When they object, agree with them. I know that seems weird, right? But that's how you do it. What was it like starting to sell? So like, I remember we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
So Shawn was staying at a Holiday Inn in town here. And I remember feeling a lot of, maybe responsibility for you because I knew that Kat we'll talk about Kat, but I know that she had like given up a career to move and support you. I knew that you had essentially said goodbye to the career that you had been building, and we were friends at this point. So I felt like, dude, like he has to be successful. And so I remember going to the Holiday Inn and like I've never done this with anyone else besides my brother Jordan.
Yeah.
And I just said, okay, I'm going to train you. And I put my phone on the table
Yeah.
and I was like, you're going to be the customer. I'm going to be the rep. And we recorded a door approach, stopped it. And then I was like, okay, the next one's going to be long. And we did a full sit down. Like that training's probably 30 or 45 minutes.
I'm pretty sure I still have it in my notes.
And I was like, just memorize that.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't involved after that. And you went into Taylor's office. So what's going through your head as you start selling? Did you go through ups and downs? Like what was the hardest part about that process? And when did you know it was going to work?
Yeah, it's definitely hard because you think about it. It's like, it was a big like gut check or reality check, or to go from like, even like moving from Florida to come here, and all my friends are like, you're moving to California to go knock doors, like you're gonna be a door-to-door sales rep, get real. I'm like,
yeah,
if you guys only knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was hard. I think that the one thing I'm thankful for is like I'm glad I got out of the area and like to a more like maybe profitable, like higher sun hours, whatever it be. But Turnbull worked in Point Loma or Sunset Cliffs, like in San Diego, and so he's like, hey, I want you to go here, knock, and if you get a deal, let me know, I'll come help you. But it was nice for me to start because it was like when you're walking around that area, I mean, it's beautiful. You see the ocean and you can walk down the cliffs, and so it made it more fun to be out working. So I kind of had a good start there, but it wasn't like, it's really low sun hours. Nobody had air conditioning. Rates were already low. So I wasn't having a lot. That's why my success wasn't quick at start.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yeah, it's like, it was a lot. It was a bit of a, times at the start of like, oh my God, did I make the right decision? Like, this is big, like this is, and I didn't have, I think I barely got drafted. I barely, got it through. I think the last day I threw in a VC Hail Mary just to get it done, but it took a while to get my first few installs. So I didn't have a strong start. Like it definitely was like, was this the right call?
Yeah.
But just stuck with it, but it was definitely a mental battle that I kind of went through, but I just, kept thinking back. I'm like, hey, I remember those guys that I went to Lake Powell with, and those guys were doing 20 installs, and those guys were all like, we're all kind of like in the same, like, I know I can do better than them. Or I can.
That's why leading from the front is so important, because as someone that doesn't have hope, your leaders give you hope. Like you don't have that experience. And so seeing that it's possible is the only thing you have until you have your own confidence.
Yeah.
I was also thinking that it probably saved your career that you burnt your ships and moved across the country. Think about it. Had you like joined the team down the street from your house?
No, wouldn't have worked.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was a thing. Like I didn't sell my house at the first, like I did rent it. I know I'm committed to this, but I'll just I'll rent the house for a year or two, see how it goes. And if for some reason it doesn't work, I at least have like plan B to go back to. But yeah, but it was definitely, if I stayed in Florida.
But you didn't have the option to go back into like a relevant wakeboard professional career, and you didn't have the opportunity. I mean, you were so far, and you had a girlfriend, and she had bet on you, right? Like,
I mean, it's thankful too that it happened when it did, because you think like I started selling in April of 2019. What happened the next year?
Yeah, COVID.
My job was to travel 100,000 miles a year with Delta, with I was like almost 2 million milers with Delta right now.
Yeah.
I traveled 100.
Almost a 2 million miler.
Yeah, I'm like,
Dude, that's crazy.
I'm like one.
I feel like
I'm
I travel all the time, and I'm not even. I go a lot, but I don't go far. I guess
1,960,000 miles. Like,
I get 700,000, and I
Yeah,
fly every
we went
week.
to Japan. I'm like so pissed I didn't get Delta because I'm like that would have got me.
Oh man,
But yeah, like it's yeah, it's
so you had a year before.
so yeah, that's what I was trying to think where we're at. But yeah, we you know, if I was still in Florida, I don't know what I've been doing because my income was traveling, getting getting
Getting in front of people.
well, and like that's like my pay was like if I was going to these events on the weekends and getting that pay. So I'm like, I'm just thinking like I've thought this so many times during that, like in that 2020 and 2021 of like, what would I be doing if I was in Florida right now?
Yeah.
Thankful that I'm able to be here and it's like even through COVID still be able to sell and do this.
Yeah, it's amazing. Was there a point that you can remember where you thought this is going to work? Like at some point, was there kind of a moment where it's like, okay, yeah, actually this is going to work?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably for most people, but it's once I started climbing that hill from 3 to 4 installs a quarter, 5 to 6 to where I got to that 10 where I was hitting the 10 consecutively. And then, you know, my boys, like I remember Thomas Harrell and Kyle Kraus, they came in, they saw me doing well and like, Shawn, we love like the life that you're living and like it seems like you barely work, but you're doing well.
Yeah.
They wanted more. And next thing you know, they told their friends about it. Next thing you know, I've got 15, 20 people that I'm working with and not even a squad leader yet.
Yeah.
So that's where it really kind of started to kick off.
Yeah, you recruited a lot, actually. That was like a huge strength that you had in recruiting.
Yeah. Well, even before I moved out here, I was a 6-star recruiter from recruiting people in Florida.
Oh, right. Yeah, because it started with a recruiting deal before. Yeah.
Dude, the magnet. That's the magnet, right?
Yep.
Like again, people see what other people are doing, and that's their confidence until they have their own.
Yeah.
Right. Until they've done it enough. Talk about Kat's like support and how that helped you, because it was awesome. Like when I remember at that first like pal trip, it was your birthday. You brought your girlfriend. It's Kat.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she's ingrained herself more and more. But I think her investment in you early on is unique.
100%. Yeah. Because you think, you know, she, at the time we were dating and she worked for Verizon, but like on the corporate side, like I don't know the exact, I think like underneath the VP, like she was managing a team and working her way up. She was, you know, at the time making more than I was making on an annual basis, like, you know, through there. So it was awesome, right? Like she was doing well. We're both doing well living in Florida. But you know, she came to Lake Powell. She saw that. She came with me to California. So she has been like, she even went out and knocked doors. I think she knocked doors with Josiah.
No way.
Yeah.
I should forgot about
Josiah, yeah.
Yeah, shout out.
Right. But you know, so she saw the opportunity. She saw what it was. And then like I said, I remember when we took those screenshots of the, you know, the pay calculator, whatever it be, and I sent it to her and she's like, holy crap, like that's what those guys are able to make, like legitimately. And I remember talking to her. I was like, I mean, what do you think? Like we were dating, but I would say we were seeing, I mean, she was living with me, but it wasn't, I mean, we've only been dating for a year and a half. It's still like early in a relationship for her to be able to see the opportunity for what it was and decided to, like, I remember we came out here, that's like the day we knocked. I knocked with Jason Ivins for my first time. She knocked with Josiah. I remember we went to, like our last day here, we went to La Jolla and there's a spot called George's. I don't know if you've been there before. It's like a really cool, like rooftop spot, but like watch the sunset. And we're like, what do you think? Should we do this? And she's like, yeah, I think we should, you know, and went back to Florida and kind of like getting things in order, figuring it out. And I remember she went into her, you know, to work and sat down with her boss, and basically her boss like started off to tell her, hey, you know, we think you're doing great. We actually want to give you a promotion.
Before you finish that thought.
Before you go any further, I'm actually letting you know that I'm quitting.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I'm moving to California. And so it's crazy like that. You know, she had faith in me, had faith in Sunrun, and
And then it kind of transitioned at some point from her, because obviously now you guys are married, you have 2 kids.
Yeah, we didn't have kids.
You
Yeah.
know, it's a totally different situation there, but also she's very involved because she started to transition into actually like working with you and supporting you.
Because she's a gangster with Excel and like business. I mean, she's a CPA, licensed CPA. Like, so she is just, top notch with all that stuff. Right. So I think it was really helpful with her helping me with stuff on the back end and like managing, like help whatever it be with accounts. But then it's like, once it got into that, managing a team of like really, that's like, I feel like my team knows that we have their back. Like we really are dialed with account management and progressing accounts. But yeah, she just has that strong sense of like management to the point where I think, any leader, once you get to maybe not squad leader, but once you get to market leader and above, like you have to have an assistant.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of have a free assistant.
Honestly though, but
She
a lot
gets
of
paid
people like
she gets paid well. That's right.
the unique thing though is like the team dynamic. Like there's so many different facets to your relationship, and that's a hard thing to do. Like to have like the couple dynamic. And as Taylor said, it's one of my favorite things that we met you guys. You weren't in the situation you're in now. You own a house in San Diego. Your kids are awesome. Married obviously, and leading a very significant group. But for a lot of people, like it does take a level of, one of like the recurring themes that I'm hearing in this conversation is you've always been very intentional. Like, I don't know if you set out to be that way, but even in your career was rare. Like even like looking around and like setting yourself up and like thinking about what comes next and how do I get there? And then also being willing to go to shows. Like, again, I know it's just normal for you, but as someone that's watching your career and watching like your ascension here, like, and now you lead a lot of people, I'm sure there were athletes that were hard to manage. I'm sure there were athletes that wouldn't be dependable to get up and make it to the show on time. I'm sure there were athletes that don't have the patience for people's kids behind a boat.
Like bringing back memories of that. Yeah.
I'm sure, right? But that wasn't, so you've stood out your whole life. And then like you look at your combine group that you started with, and like, you made those like decisions on the days that you didn't want to work to at least go out. And it might not have seemed like a victory, but you do that enough times and you start to like, your mindset and your consistency starts to separate you from the pack. And then you add in there, like you managed a relationship and like you figured out a dynamic that has like supported your business and she's on board. Now you have a team, right?
Yeah.
And then you added value to the team that you were on and you guys won the bigs and you saw what that looked like. And so a lot of it to me is like a testament of like, one, you show up every day, you follow the process, but you have the right mindset. And so if you're present, like physically and present mentally, and then you're resilient, that's a lot of it, right? Like you probably feel like anybody could walk your path, but very few people walk it,
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like, I don't know if this is relevant to this, but I remember that training that you did. I think it might have been here in Orange County, but it was when I came out for that conference in 2018. But I remember you did your 20-mile march training, which I just trained on that in the office the other day.
Did you know that? You just trained on that the other day. Like
Yeah,
we were talking with.
Love it, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah. But you did a training on like the be so good they can't ignore you. And I feel like I've always like just kind of had that in me. So it hit with me, but it's also like I really like still always relate to that and think back to that of just like I mean, when I came in I remember people telling me like, you don't want to go to San Diego South. There's too many heads. Yeah. It's like, you'll never have a chance to be a leader there ever. Right. Because it was Turnbull, Taylor Judd, Mike Evans, Eric O.
Dude, that's like saying never go to
Dallin West.
Yeah, like there was a lot. Grant Monson,
and then there were a lot of people around that were kind of the up and coming group. I mean, usually like just in my
Jason Ivancic.
Jason Ivancic was there.
Right? But that's like saying like don't go to Harvard because they've already started all the businesses.
Yeah.
Like there's been too many successful people, so don't go there. That's such a foreign, counterintuitive thought.
Yeah, it is. But that's
it's like such a scarce.
Well, it's very similar to what people have always said about like when they're looking at coming into the industry and they're like, well, don't go to Sunrun because you'll never be a leader there because they have the best leaders and there's too many of them. It's like, I mean, no.
You never have too many leaders. Let me just say that out loud to everybody that's listening. It's impossible to have too many leaders.
I'm just San Diego South. We need more. We need more people leading more people.
Don't you think you'd want to be around the best leaders? Like, don't you think that like if you were coming in to build a career that you'd want to be around the people that have done it the best? Like, don't you feel like that would be the place you'd want to plant your
And
flag?
it's funny because I remember I was like, well, I'm living in Carlsbad. Shouldn't I be in San Diego North? And you're like, no, like you want to go to. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything. You're like, Ty's like, no, you need to go to San Diego South. Right. Which I'm glad you did. Thank you.
Just timing. It goes back to timing, right? Like you need a lot of leaders being successful is a pattern, right? So if you can recognize, like, again, people go to good schools because they have a track record because something is working, right? It's John Maxwell that said, show me a system that's working, I'll show you a leader at work. So it's weird, like you were saying, Tay, how like the industry turns that into a bad thing where it's like, oh, you shouldn't go to a place where overwhelmingly and abnormally individuals are having more success. Like you would think everything in every book tells you to get close to a mentor, get close to people that are having the results you want and mirror those. Yeah. And so, but again, timing and like we know the inner workings of the leader dynamic. And you look at San Diego North now, they're absolutely crushing it. They are leading on front end, like pace.
It's amazing to see what they're doing.
Yeah. But there's timing to it. And like I think that like any kind of leader, the important thing is to look to that person and say, what does this person need right now? Thankfully, like our structure kind of tells people to do that. The way it's been built is not to worry about who gets credit for who and who belongs, quote unquote, to who, but who does this person need and who can best serve them. And when that happens, it works out for everybody, you know?
Yeah. And I think it goes back also to the concept of like making yourself the clear choice. Like two kind of examples of that with you is like when it was announced that you were a market leader in San Diego South
back in 2022.
Everyone was like surprised because they already thought you were a market leader. You know what I mean? Like that's what you want to have happen because
doing the things.
You were already doing it. You were already doing all the things. Everyone in the room was like, "Oh, sick, yeah." Like I honestly actually already thought he was.
Yeah.
And then when we promoted you to be a senior market leader in Austin, it was a similar thing. Like there not one person in that room had a problem with it. Everyone in that room was like, "Oh yeah, of course Shawn would be the senior market leader." Because you've always just continued to like do the things at such a high level. One thing I think, what question that I have is like, as you've now been doing this for a while and it, you know, it can become a grind. Like how have you stayed fresh and like kept fresh legs, so to speak, you know, and not gotten burned out by that? Because one thing I admire so much about you is you never complain. You're always positive. You're always like even killed. Like you don't get too high, you don't get too low. But like it's always, I never see your name on my phone and like have to take a deep breath. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh shoot, I got to handle this. And
I try to really same for my people too.
And you've never gotten negative ever. Like I've never had a conversation with you where I've been like, man, Shawn was in a really weird headspace. So how have you done that?
Which is actually crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's a real gift, dude.
Yeah.
Over 7 years, you'd find it if it was there.
Yeah. And I mean, and you and I worked every single day together for 3 or 4 of those years, you know, when we were running our team together, like we talked all the time. We saw each other all the time. So I never saw you in a negative
think
place.
of like remember your little, like the
spiral. Yeah. Yeah.
We need to bring that back.
That's a helpful framework for sure.
But I just think I always like try to put myself in check if I am like getting out of that. If I'm like, you know, just don't, there's always times where things are going to be hard, but you just have to like I said, just think bigger picture, like what's next. Like don't think so microscopically and like macro, like zoom out, right? And it's just like kind of always kind of keeping yourself in check with that. And, you know, it's just, you know, this is hard. I mean, you see a lot of people that do spiral and go out, and it's like, dude, you just gotta stay in your lane, just relax, you know?
What I'm thinking about as you say that, I saw this thing forever ago. It's like a meme that I saved. And it's I think your disposition is a little naturally that way to not, you're just kind of like, you kind of just don't get emotionally spun out.
Yeah.
You know, like not that I've seen at least. So that's cool. Like it's an advantage. Use it, whether you had to develop it or it's natural for you. but I saw this picture of this little boy, and this will be close to you because you served in Africa, but it's a little boy in Africa, and I believe, and he's got these shoes on. You know those shoes that look like Keds or Vans, but they only have them in like third world countries? They're white. You know what I'm talking about? They wear them to play like soccer on the courts. So this kid, this little tiny kid, had these shoes on, and the shoes are way too big for him. The kid's probably like a kid's 1, and they're probably like an adult 10. They're way too big. And they had clothes pinned behind his like Achilles tendon, the shoe, and then wrapped the laces like around his leg, and they were all like dirty and broken. And it said something like, "Remember this the next time you complain," where it's like, really, how bad is it? Like, really, it's hard to keep that perspective, but for like, as you were talking, I keep thinking of that picture. We should post it here, but it's literally like, it just takes that to be like, I've seen those kids. Like, I've been in like third world countries and I've seen them. And then I think of being a leader now and the things that people bring you as complaints.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe one of the biggest distinguishing of like traits of a leader is their ability to like keep perspective when stuff goes wrong. Because stuff goes wrong, like that's a blessing. It's a reason you're in the position. Like problems are going to come up. You've been selected to be the one that solves the problems and orients the group. So it is a blessing. Or it can be life is just problems, but it depends on how you think of it. And so
Perspective,
I don't know, like it seems to be like you seem to naturally understand like, well, it's not like the worst thing ever. If my child had shoes like that kid, that would be hard. But then you see the other one. Have you seen the picture of the kid that is in one of those countries that has like a basketball, he has no legs and is like, has a basketball under his shirt and like, that's how he gets around. Wow. And so it's like, dude, there's really no end to the perspective. And I think, weird tangent, but I do think leaders are selected to be the ones that can keep their heads when other people have a hard time with that. You know what I mean?
And that's just the biggest thing is, like I said, it's like, once again, like back to that, like be so good they can't ignore it. It doesn't matter like what it is. Like if we go back to like that when I came in, and it's like everyone, like you don't want to be there. You don't have a chance to like ever be a leader. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to, like Ty said, I'm just going to be so good. Just be so good they can't ignore it. I'm going to lead from the front. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And knowing that things always change. It's especially still is. San Diego South is a leadership factory, right? Absolutely, like people are going here, going there, going there. And it's like, I think back to when I got promoted in 2022 and like was awesome. It was stoked, but I'm still like, man, I feel like I'm still a squad leader. And here I am, this title. And then Turnbull gets promoted from director to VP, and now I got to fill those shoes, and it's like, and next thing you know, but even then, like lower on the totem pole still, and then it's like, hey, keep your head down, keep doing the things, and it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah. And now every one of those partners who are all still in the business, still huge parts of the business, but they're just in different places
now.
And now you run that team. You're the guy on that team, and it's such a cool thing sitting in the office with you the other day and kind of just having the realization. It's like, dude, this team that was like my baby for a long time is like yours. Like it literally is like your team.
Yeah.
You completely run it, and there's no one better to do it. And it's such a cool thing that you've been able to like grow into that. And no one ever along that path has ever been like, oh yeah, Shawn's not qualified to be in this role, or Shawn's really struggling right now, like,
or Shawn's selfish.
Or Shawn's like, never. I've just
I hope someone puts me in check if I do come that way.
It will. The cool thing is, as you're saying, like the team has evolved. Like it on a cellular level, it is a new team. Like Shawn's team doesn't know you as a market leader. Exactly. They never saw it.
Right. They don't even know.
They have no idea. They don't know you guys accounts.
Knew back in the day.
They don't know about like our first day knocking doors where literally same story. We went out and Taylor just got ripped by this homeowner's like spouse. They don't know about that.
Right.
And they don't actually, most of them don't know you as a director. Right. And so now you have this, that's why you'll never run out of leaders, because like some of those people are going to be successful. And as they start to be able to like handle more, you can move up and focus on more important things, and soon your team won't know you on a cellular level.
That's what I'm saying. You think like it's probably going to look very different in the office in the next 3 years.
Yeah, it will.
It totally will. And it's different in ways that you can't imagine. And there's something I think you've done such a good job of is like trusting the process and staying engaged in it. It's the 20-mile march of just like consistently showing up and like doing the daily work, because you kind of know the summit that you're going towards, right? But you don't know, like, as you're going, that it takes a twist over this bend and goes like down through a ravine, and you didn't plan on
there's
the river that was flowing through
crazy
there,
storms gonna come
or the
through,
bear that was like
yeah,
down
that
there, or
it's
whatever,
gonna
right?
eat you up, and
Yeah, you don't know that stuff, and
Yeah.
and I think like you've done such a great job of being so resilient through all of those things. I was talking yesterday to Colton Pickup in Fresno, and we were just having a one-on-one, and I was talking to him about his growth path. And I think this is an important thing for all of our people that are listening to this and thinking about, like, what's next for them, what's their path, and if they ever feel stagnant where they are, usually what that comes from is a lack of service to their people, a lack of them just kind of doing the day in and day out of being a leader, whether it's like leading from the front or recruiting. But really, what it really comes down to, and what I told Colton, is like, you will always be fulfilled and you will always be growing when you're developing people. Like, if you're relying on a huge squad scorecard, but you don't have a lot of people that are in there that you're actually developing to replace you, like, you literally replaced me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we met on a houseboat in Lake Powell.
Yeah.
But like, now you actually have the job that I had when we met. And so you think about, like, you have to constantly be bringing people in and developing those people. And if you do that, you'll never be burnt out.
Yeah.
Ever. You'll never have you'll never not have opportunities to grow, because that's ultimately, once you get to the level that you're in order to get to the next level or the level above that, not just positionally, but even just like in your development and capacity, you can only do that as you're developing people that are under you. And I think a lot of times when people get grumpy and sideways, a lot of times it has to do with they're actually not doing that. And so when you break it apart,
they're complacent.
They're complacent and they're complaining and they're kind of resting on the work they did before,
Yeah.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
I want to sit in that point for just a second.
It's well said.
Yeah, I'm wearing it like a blanket. It's really true. Like,
Yeah.
it's also impossible to like complain and get in a negative headspace, because it's almost like I think about like the most chaotic thing that we all know of, like raising humans, like developing people, like actually like raising kids. And you take these kids from literally like feral little primitive creatures that can't like eat or do any, like they can't move their bodies without you at first. But like, you're never frustrated with your kids, like in the, like when you're working on it, like when you're developing them and like trying to get them, maybe after you're tired or after you're like, oh, I gotta like help them see. But when you're busy, like in service and like pure love, like obviously like that feeling of frustration or like, when am I going to get mine? It just doesn't exist, because you're too busy, like in a virtuous pursuit, right? And the leaders that grow, the interesting thing, like Shawn, you've never asked for a promotion. It's crazy. Think of how many people, like, and you're probably getting it now. I certainly get it. You get it. How many people like want to sit down, they want to talk about their career path, and that's not a bad thing. Everybody needs vision, right? Like, I've gotten vision from my leaders before. But generally, the promotion happens when you get so ingrained in adding value to people that your leader doesn't have a choice but to create a path for you. Like, that's so good they can't ignore you. That's a Steve Martin quote that Cal Newport talks about in his book, where like Steve Martin was doing like this wild comedy stuff. And the advice that he gives people is like, dude, listen, if you're the best, they can't ignore you. So just focus there. And if you can do that, it's actually a lot more effortless of a path. The ones that are like, I said it today. I was like, dude, I'm the hardest worker in the ocean this morning. You don't want to be the hardest working man in the ocean.
You're paddling.
Yeah, I could do it. And I was like, you want it to be effortless. You want to be focused on your fundamentals. You don't want to be comparing wave count with other people. And so you're a great example of that, because again, we've never sat down and been like, dude, I've been doing this for 7 years. I got 400 installs. I've managed 3,000. I've won the bigs. I've come through COVID. I've come through pricing changes. Like, when are you going to give me my shot? It's never happened.
Yeah.
And generally we promote you and you're like, what? Yeah. Everyone else is like, Shawn, wake up. Like,
yeah, it was the same. Like, I remember, I was at that point, my team was doing 50, 60 installs and I was doing 20 back to back, so you could say it made sense, but even then, like you said, wasn't like I was like, hey, Turnbull, you're going to promote me. I just figured it probably would happen at some point. But it's the same even with the senior market leader role. It's like, obviously when Judd left and that spot was voided,
Sean's like, I
you know,
wonder who's going to fill it.
honestly was. I'm like, there's people, but like even then it was like, okay, I know I need to go out and do franchise again. I need to probably get to 6-star. It's probably something that's probably going to happen maybe in like 2026, like maybe Q2, maybe Q3. So definitely was not like, if I got there was then be maybe, okay, I wonder if it's going to happen. So it definitely seemed like I was obviously like, I remember when they called me up and I'm like, oh shit, this is happening. Definitely.
The thing that you wanted, all of a sudden you feel the weight of it.
I was so caught off guard.
Yeah, those are my favorites. My favorite thing to do is promote people, surprise promotions at conferences.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. Because there's just so much like, it's so much celebration. It's a lack of expectation. Like it's so much more fun to promote someone when they're not expecting it versus like when they are expecting it, And like I love those types of conversations of like, I think we never talked about a promotion for you, but we always talked about a growth path. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I do remember that.
it was always really clear to you, like what the path looked like and what it was. And like Ty said, eventually like the organization got to a point where I couldn't possibly manage what we had built without you stepping in to that role. And again, as a leader, that was my job. My job was to create an environment for you to be able to grow like that, where it was like, hey, I've created so much growth here that like, I need you to step in.
Yeah.
So as a leader, you kind of have to think that way. Like if you want someone to grow, you kind of have to create the position for them. And then if you're wanting that role, also create that type of growth, like do your part. Cause you'd recruited 20 people.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
you built this, you built this thing and you've done such a great job with it. So like,
Yeah.
anyone that I've seen that's like Eric O and Castle and Henry and like all those guys did the exact same thing of just creating, Grant. I mean, the list goes on and on. Obviously, Adler's done an amazing job, but like so many guys have done a great job of that. But like a lot of conversations I have with people, I'm thinking specifically of like 2 recently that I've had where it's like, there's unhappiness or grumpiness around pay, or there's, unhappiness about role. And really it's like, well, you got to focus on creating the growth and the people under you growing, as you create those positions, as you create that growth, then everything fills out, Damn. I think you've been a testament to that.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's like I think about that. It's like that when that came with like for the district manager role and like that, and like it was like felt like a lot of shoes to fill, but I was like I've learned from the best. I'm ready for it, right? And it's it's now been like working really closely with Grant Shaw and seeing especially like what he's doing with North and like like Flo's doing amazing, but I honestly think Flo's like really about to blow up.
Yeah,
and it's really fun to be part of that.
As you think about like the next chapter, like what are you most excited about in life, in work? Like are you like what's lighting you up right now? Like what makes you most excited?
It's interesting, because you think about it, it's like, okay, I remember it's like I have this strong desire to be a squad leader and this strong desire to be a market leader, and it's like, shit, okay, what's senior market? It's a lot. It's going to be a lot, It's like,
you gotta start being careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm like, oh man, do I want to take on more and more? But yeah, I mean, it's like I can't get complacent staying where I'm at. I have to like be thinking like, what's next and how can I continue to keep leveling up and in the job and life and as a father to my kids and to my wife, like husband, my wife, but really just like thinking like, what is next there? And, like what's next with life, I'd love to be able to buy a second house and be a little bit, maybe west of the 5.
Just trying to get west
shout
of 5.
Shout out to Mike Evans, 2 properties west of the 5. But I know, right? God, he's a beast. But yeah, I think that's just like that, keeping something like, goals and keeping that to aspire and not like we talked about, not get complacent.
Yeah.
I think that's the recipe, dude. Like not getting complacent and continuing to evolve. Like as you were talking, the one thing that like phrase that came into my mind is, sometimes you look and say, what's the next step? And you have that apprehension, you have that nervousness. You don't know the person yet. The Shawn Watson that is capable of that, you actually don't know him yet. He's familiar to you, but like, it'd be like if you were teaching me to wakeboard and I'm like scared of catching an edge going wake to wake, and you're like, hey, in a year you're going to be doing backflips, and it's like I can't
even fathom.
I can't. But you've seen 100 people take that same path, right? And so the interesting thing is, as you go down the path, like you've trusted the process enough to hopefully see that. But the thing that you're apprehensive of, when your skills meet the level that you can serve in that role, it'll be slight apprehension, but it'll be like an eager apprehension. Right now, it's like a debilitating apprehension. But as you continue to evolve, you'll show up as a different person with different tools capable of taking it. Like to talk to you when you first got drafted about being a senior market leader, like we couldn't even say those words. It would have shut you down.
No.
But
I
now,
wouldn't even know what it was.
Yeah,
that's right. You know what I mean? But think about it. Like it's only been a handful of years. And all of a sudden, the thing that used to be so hard to do now is kind of second nature. And you have this new thing that's challenging to do. And then, hey, let me throw you a baby. And you're like, oh, like, and then it's like, okay, I can kind of do a work and the baby. And then it's like, hey, let me give you more responsibility. Let me give you another child. Let me give you your property to manage. Let me give you you just become more capable as you're like.
Think back. It's like you think of like, it's like, you know, when your sales reps are like asking you questions, like need help with this, and it's like they hit you with something and you're like, you don't even like hesitate. You're like, oh, that just like relax, like, you know, just do this. Like, and you've been there, you've done that. And they're like, how do you know the answer to everything? I'm like, well, I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, right? And you get that like ingrained to you and you just keep leveling up. So yeah, it's like that, like you said, like I know what is next. I can't even envision it right now, but I'll look back probably in a couple of years from now and be like, I never even would have thought that, you know. And I think that should be, any person even listening to this should be thinking that same thing. If you're here for the past 30 days or 6 months or 2 years and you're still just getting started, like, you know, have that confidence in knowing that you can do it.
Yeah, dude, I really want to thank you, you know, for like when we get to these types of things, it's cool to be able to think like we're sitting here talking to you because of everything you've accomplished, but like you've been such a big blessing to Ty and to me. My career would look really different without you in it, you know, like had you not made the decision to come and do this, it would look really different for me. Like, and honestly, one of my favorite times of my life and in my career was like that time that we were like running a team together in San Diego. So
that was a good time.
I'm really grateful. And, you know, one of the things I love the most about you is like, I have this quote above my door. Yeah, you see it because now you sit in that office.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can remember it. It's like something, the attention you give to things in love or something.
Yeah, love is the quality of attention you pay to things.
That's not bad. I've only
that was really good.
And I was otherwise engaged.
That was
I was
really
like,
good.
I should lock this in.
Yeah, it's really good. Like Grant put that up there, but he asked me one of my favorite quotes, and I told him, and he surprised me and like, you know, decked out that office. I think it's kind of Shawn's office now, but
especially I'm working on my new office in the back. I love that office, but it's like anytime people come in the elevator, people come in and so it's like I like my workout. I'm like I like the back office in the back. Yeah.
But I think like that quote, love is the quality of attention we pay to things. If you notice ever talking to Shawn, he's never preoccupied. Like he's always like locked in. And the quality of attention he's paying to the person in front of him, I think that's your biggest gift. Yeah. I think that's something, and that's why everyone feels the same way about you. Everyone loves you because like the quality of attention you pay to the people that you're serving, and because you're so service oriented, like people feel love from you, and that's your greatest gift as a person and as a leader.
It's always like I've had that. I was like, treat people how you want to be treated, right? How that quote is or whatever that be, right? But it's like that. It's like I'm always, you know, even if it's like knocking doors, I'm like thinking, like, put myself in their shoes. Like, how are they thinking, right? Or it's like just being relational and try to be. There's always times you're going to be transactional, but as like least as possible.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think that's very genuine. I think your reps get that from you, but that was something that stood out from the time we met. And I agree with Taylor, dude. Like, this business thrives on people that are willing to like walk the road that you walked, like to bet on themselves. You have some support, but largely, dude, nobody can do this for you. Like you have some people that can guide you, but it's back to what you know. You can tell me how to stay in the pocket of the wave behind the boat. You can tell me how to orient, but I have to do like
it's still skill you have to develop.
You cannot do it for me, right? And you can't explain it to the point that like trumps any kind of like effort. Like ultimately, like we can only encourage, provide materials to like such a degree. At some point, you have to do it, and you did it, and you like it's thousands and thousands and thousands of little quiet victories that have like led you to this point. But as we're on this closing out this episode, like to say the last time this audience like engaged with you was as a professional wakeboarder talking about how you'd sustained such a career, and now to see you like successfully like the first like trimester into the next 20 years,
It's crazy.
this is like such a transformational chapter of your life, and I'm so like proud of you for doing it. I'm so grateful for the example that you have to the rest of the people that have done it, or that are doing it now.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you guys probably heard me say it 100 times, but it's, largely thanks to mostly to you guys, right? It's like paving the way for me and just showing me what's possible. And, it's like that. Just keep going.
Just keep going, dude. Just keep going.
Yep.
Last maybe question before we close out. Now that you're in a leadership position, now that you've had the experience that you've had, now that you have acquired so much life experience in multiple different industries and like have walked the path from a sales rep to a leader to not knowing what the next step is to having a pretty sure idea of what you'll be doing for the next 10 years, what's advice that you give to people that come into your office when you see someone that have potential and come in? Like what's the core thing you want them to understand in order to have success?
I think the biggest thing that people struggle with, and it's like I just witnessed happen yesterday, is people just like trust the process. Like you said, people have like walked this, people have been doing this job. I like when people come in and try and reinvent the wheel and try to create a new pitch. It's like, trust me, if there was a better pitch that would be done, like we would be giving it to you. Like this is what's worked for a long time, and there's different iterations to it, but don't try to go and reinvent the wheel. I can do it this way. I don't like the way those guys have been doing it. I think when people go that path is where they typically start to spiral. And it's like just trusting the process and knowing that there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and just try to stay even keeled. It seems simple, but it's literally just basic and trusting the process.
I love it. Yeah, it's something that we've heard so many times, but so few people actually do it.
They don't.
Trust the process means to like walk the road before you have proof, right?
People always want to try and be, I'm going to be different. I want to change. I want to do this. It's like, I'm going to reinvent the wheel. Don't do it.
Well, and the nature of the job too is when you think you should have the success, it's a little further. I think that most things are like that. Like, think about it. Like if you're getting into shape, you're generally frustrated. Like, or, we've done like, I was thinking about this the other day at like snowboard jumps in a park. You have to go just fast enough that you're a little uncomfortable to make it. If you speed check, the result is catastrophic.
Oh, yeah.
You land on the knuckle, and knuckling is your knees. It's the worst.
You don't want that.
And so pretty much every jump in a park on a mountain bike or on a snowboard or skis or whatever, it is 5% past your comfort zone, and then you sail and you make it. It's when you insert your knowledge thinking like this is too fast and you check, that's when you get screwed up, And it's the same thing with this job. It's like literally like, oh, you think you should have success by now. That's why you're frustrated. I don't know how to say it better than that, but it's like, hold on, there's another 20%. And if you can get through that piece.
Keep pushing that boulder up the hill. It's eventually going to start rolling down.
Yeah. And everybody gets to the point at 80% where they're like, I can't go further. And they're like, everybody. And that's where most people
stop. Like yesterday, I'm like, God, he was right there.
And
he put his resignation in. I'm like, if he just would have like stuck it out a little bit longer, he was right there.
It's one of my favorite quotes. Much good work is lost for lack of a little more.
Yeah.
And it's like, think of that rep that turned in his resignation. Think of how much pain he went through. Yeah. Think of how much vulnerability he went through, self-doubt he went through. Like that's the hardest part of the job. You only should feel that really once. Yeah. And to endure it and not get the payoff for it, it's like, man, that's the thing that like pains me the most.
And to have a lot of the reps that will like push the boulder up the hill, 40%, and then let it go back down to the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
And then like do it again and like push it back up and then let it roll back down. And we could all name 100 of them right now at the top of our heads. And just like, oh, dude, if you would just stay consistent. If you just stay consistent and let that thing get up there, then the momentum will like roll. Just have never given yourself the benefit of doing that. So it always feels so hard.
Consistency is key.
Yeah, it is.
I like that of the rock because literally like once momentum hits, you can't run as fast as that rock. You can't keep up with it, but you're on this side of the mountain. You can't see that that's what's going to happen until you go past what you think you're capable of.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No helicopters to the top, boys.
No, no easy route.
Dude, being your friend and, involved in your career has been like such an honor and such a blessing, such a joy. I love seeing your family thrive and succeed. I love seeing you like develop these skills. I love like, I'm so proud of you, like to see like where we started and then to like see where you are now. Like it gives me hope in the program that we're running and makes me feel like pretty fired up about it. So
yeah, once again, thanks for the opportunity. Of course, stoked to be here.
Don't screw it up, okay?
Try not to.
Thanks, Shawn.
All right, guys.
If you like what you hear and are interested in joining the team, DM us on Instagram at RunXStreet.
What are you waiting for? Shoot us a DM and let's get going.